Hi, everyone, and welcome back. It's so nice to have you here with us again in the Star Wars studios this week. We're going to be continuing our Star Wars adventure here, and we are going to be reading from the Star Wars prequel trilogy stories. And today, we're going to be reading from the Attack of the Clones. So, we're going to be reading some stories from Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Our first story is called Ambushed. And I'm just going to try and make sure that we have good lighting here and a good placement. That way, then you can see the story really, really well. And I do have a microphone on today, so hopefully that'll help to make it so that you could hear a little bit better. Let's see if we can rise that a little bit. There we go. Perfect. Padme Amidala, the former queen of Naboo, flew toward the bursting planet of Coruscant. She was on her way to the Galactic Senate to represent her people once more as a senator. Many people in the galaxy were unhappy with the Senate. Some, known as the Separatists, even used violence to show how angry they were. The Jedi Knights were having difficulty maintaining peace throughout the galaxy. Padme hoped that the Senate could help. And I hope that she's correct. But when the senator's ship landed on the giant platform, there was a sudden explosion. Someone had laid a trap for Padme. Only the pilots of the two starfighters that had escorted the ships down escaped the fiery blast. "Milady, you are still in danger," one pilot said to the other. The other pilot removed her helmet, revealing that she was actually the senator in disguise. And from our stories yesterday, we know that Padme is known to wear disguises to keep herself hidden and safe. Oh, it looks like they are with Chancellor Palpatine or Senator Palpatine, and this is some of the Jedi Knights that we know. We have Jedi Master Plo Koon, Kit Fisto, Ki-Adi-Mundi, Mace Windu, and Yoda. Nearby, in Chancellor Palpatine's chambers, Jedi Council members Mace Windu, Ki-Adi-Mundi, and Yoda met with the Chancellor to discuss an upcoming vote in the Senate that would plunge the Republic into war with the Separatists. "You must realize there are not enough Jedi to defend the Republic," Mace cautioned Palpatine. "We are keepers of the peace, not soldiers." Senator Amidala entered the Chancellor's chamber. She suspected Count Dooku, the mysterious leader of the Separatists, was behind the attack on her life, but the Jedi Council wasn't so sure. Regardless, Chancellor Palpatine was concerned for Padme's safety. "Master Jedi, may I suggest the senator be placed under your protection?" Padme protested, but the Jedi agreed with the Chancellor. So what it looks like is the Chancellor wants the Jedi to protect Padme. Obi-Wan Kenobi and his young Padawan, Anakin Skywalker, arrived to help protect the senator. The young Jedi was eager to determine who was threatening Padme's life. Obi-Wan reminded Anakin, "We're here to protect her, not start an investigation." But Anakin was too excited to see Padme again to listen. It had been 10 years since they had last seen each other. "Annie?" Padme asked. She barely recognized the young boy she had met on Tatooine all those years before. And you can take a close look. Over here is Anakin. And he was the young boy we read about yesterday. And now he's a little bit older. And there's Obi-Wan Kenobi and Padme Amidala, the former queen of Naboo. Obi-Wan and Anakin's fears about Padme's safety were confirmed that very evening. An assassin sent a robotic attack droid armed with deadly insects into her room to poison her. Fortunately, the Jedi had sensed the evil mission just in time to interfere. Obi-Wan grabbed onto the floating droid as it fled from the scene and was soon hanging on for dear life as it flew over the streets of Coruscant. Whoa! He shouted. Anakin jumped into his speeder to rescue Obi-Wan and follow the droid. They needed to find out who had set up the deadly scheme. Someone was after Padme. Someone wanted her dead. From their speeder, Obi-Wan and Anakin spotted Zam, a bounty hunter assassin. Was she behind the attack? Anakin navigated the heavy traffic of Coruscant, but Zam managed to slip away. Obi-Wan was frustrated with Anakin as they floated high above the giant city. Well, you've lost her. Or so he thought. Anakin was waiting for Zam to come out of a tunnel. When she did, Anakin prepared to jump out of the speeder. Excuse me for a moment, he said coolly. Obi-Wan watched in horror as Anakin dropped straight toward the street. Using his Jedi skills, Anakin landed on Zam's speeder, causing the vehicle to wobble and crash. Oh, I hate it when he does that, said Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan met his apprentice on the ground, and the Jedi tried to get answers from the shape-shifting assassin, but she was hit by another bounty hunter, Poisonous Dart, before she could tell them anything. Someone shot the bounty hunter with a poisonous dart. Obi-Wan and Anakin told the Jedi Council what had happened. Track down this bounty hunter, you must, Obi-Wan, urged Yoda. But Obi-Wan was concerned about Padme's safety. Who would protect her if he was looking for the bounty hunter? Handle that, your Padawan will, replied Yoda. Anakin, escort the senator back to her home planet of Naboo, Mace Windu instructed. It was clear that Padme was no longer safe on the city planet of Coruscant. Anakin was delighted by his new assignment. He had missed spending time with his friend Padme. As the two departed on their journey with their fateful little droid R2-D2, Padme turned to Anakin. Suddenly, I'm afraid. I am too, Anakin confessed, but he was determined to lift her spirits. Don't worry, we've got R2 with us. Anakin and Padme were destined to grow closer as their adventure continued. All right, so that was the first story from episode 2. Our next one is called The Secret Army. And in this story, as you can see, Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi has gone to the planet Kamino where there's these really tall, long aliens, and he's going to discover the secret army. Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi had a problem. Someone was trying to hurt Senator Amidala, but the Jedi couldn't figure out who it was. The only clue they had was a poisonous dart the enemy had used, a very strange-looking dart. Obi-Wan decided to ask his friend Dexter Jester for help. He might know where the dart had come from. After all, Dex had a way of knowing about things that were out of the ordinary. What you got here is a Kamino saber dart, Dex told Obi-Wan. Kamino? Asked Obi-Wan. Dex nodded. It's a planet beyond the Outer Rim. The folks there, they keep to themselves. They're, cloners. Obi-Wan had never heard of Kamino, so he went to research it in the Jedi archives. But to his surprise, the planet didn't show up in any of the map charts. Are you sure you have the right coordinates? The archive keeper asked him. Yes, said Obi-Wan. Whoops, sorry. It should appear right here, just south of the Rishi Maze. The keeper shook her head. I hate to say it, but if an item does not appear in our records, it does not exist. The mystery was becoming stranger and stranger. Obi-Wan had to get to the bottom of it, and that meant asking the wisest Jedi he knew for help, Master Yoda. Obi-Wan found the master training a class of young little Padawans. They looked to be about the age of 6 or 7. Hmm, lost a planet Master Obi-Wan has, Yoda said to his students. How embarrassing. The children all giggled. Yoda pulled up a 3D map of the galaxy. Obi-Wan pointed to where the planet should have been. Gravity is pulling all the stars in the area to this spot, he said, but the planet isn't there. Master? A very small boy raised his hand. Perhaps someone erased it from the archive memory. Yoda nodded proudly. Truly wonderful, the mind of a child is. The Padawan is right. Go to the center of the gravity's pool and find your planet. You will. Master Yoda is very wise. That's why he's my favorite character. Obi-Wan was growing worried. Only a Jedi could have erased those files from the archives. But who? And why? Quickly, he flew to the coordinates that Dex had given him. Sure enough, there was the planet Kamino. Obi-Wan landed his starship on the platform of a large spaceport. To his surprise, a tall, long, silver-gray alien with big black eyes named Ton Wei came out to greet him. Master Jedi, she said, the Prime Minister is expecting you. I'm expected? Obi-Wan raised his eyebrows. Of course, she said. He is anxious to meet you. After all these years, we were beginning to think you were not coming. This is indeed very mysterious. The tall alien named Ton Wei took Obi-Wan to meet the Kamino Prime Minister named Lama Su. You will be delighted to hear we are on schedule, Lama Su told Obi-Wan. 200,000 units are ready, with 1,000,000 more on the way. Please tell your master, Sifo Dyas, that his order will be met on time. Obi-Wan was extremely confused, but Master Sifo Dyas was killed almost 10 years ago. The Prime Minister was surprised. I'm so sorry to hear that, but I'm sure he would have been proud of the clone army we've built for him. Obi-Wan had no idea what Lama Su was talking about, but he decided to play along. Tell me, when my master first contacted you, did he say who the army was for? The Jedi Council requested the army for the Republic, Lama Su replied. Ton Wei and Lama Su, the tall alien Kaminoans, took Obi-Wan to see the clone army. Obi-Wan couldn't believe his eyes. There were thousands of cloned soldiers in the spaceport, eating, exercising, training, and they all looked exactly the same, almost like twins. They are totally obedient, Lama Su explained proudly, taking any order without question. We modified their genetic structure to make them less independent than the original host. And who is the original host? Obi-Wan asked. A bounty hunter called Jango Fett, said Lama Su. A bounty hunter, thought Obi-Wan to himself. That could be the culprit behind the attacks on Senator Amidala. He asked to meet this person named Jango Fett. And if you look closely, boys and girls, you can see all of the little clones. And so remember, a clone is kind of like a twin, and in Star Wars, these are people that are born and they all look exactly the same. So it's a massive clone army of soldiers that all look exactly the same. This is Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, she said, introducing Obi-Wan to Jango Fett and his cloned son, Boba. Tell me, have you ever been to Coruscant? Obi-Wan asked Jango. Once or twice, Jango replied. Obi-Wan got a very bad feeling about Jango. He was certain he'd found the mysterious attacker that they were looking for. Obi-Wan needed to tell Yoda and Mace Windu what he had discovered. He hurried back to his ship and sent them a message. The Caminos are using a bounty hunter named Jango Fett to create a clone army, Obi-Wan said. I have a strong feeling that this bounty hunter is the assassin we're looking for. An army? Master Yoda asked. Yes, said Obi-Wan. The Kamino Prime Minister said that the Jedi Council placed an order for a clone army almost 10 years ago. Is that true? No, said Mace Windu. Hmm. Bring the bounty hunter here, said Yoda. Question him. We will. Obi-Wan raced back to capture Jango Fett, only to discover the bounty hunter was trying to escape. Dad, look out! Cried Boba Fett. Boba, get on board! Jango yelled to his son. Jango battled Obi-Wan while Boba started up their spaceship. Jango fired his blaster guns at Obi-Wan. The Jedi Knight blocked the laser with his lightsaber. But before Obi-Wan could stop him, Jango had hopped aboard his ship and lifted off of the launch pad. Thinking fast, Obi-Wan threw a tracking device at Jango's ship. Snap! It attached to the hull just in time. The ship took off and blasted into space. Phew, Obi-Wan thought. At least now I can track him. No matter where the bounty hunter went, Obi-Wan would follow him and get to the bottom of the mystery once and for all. He deactivated his lightsaber. Alright, our next story has some really, really cool artwork. This story is called Anakin's Vow. And so in this story, the setting is actually going to be back on Anakin's home planet of Tatooine. I'm going to move my book a little bit over this way just to try and get good lighting. Unfortunately, this book, it has kind of glossy, smooth pages, so it kind of reflects woo, woo, woo. And also, I do want to apologize if you hear a loud rumbling noise in the background. That is my neighbor. He likes to ride his ATV in his backyard every single night, so I do apologize about that. Trust me, it's very annoying. All right, but before we get Anakin to go to Tatooine, he's still on the planet of Naboo, which is Padme's home planet, where she was once the queen. As the bright light of Naboo's sun shone on Anakin and Padme, it was easy for them to pretend that the galaxy was at peace. Although a terrifying attack on Padme had sent her and her Jedi protector into hiding, the troubles seemed far, far away. The feeling of friendship that Anakin had for Padme was growing into something more like love. Anakin and Padme spent their days exploring the beautiful waterfalls and valleys of the countryside. But even though everything around Anakin was peaceful, something felt wrong. Every night he had the same horrible, terrible, scary nightmare. He tossed and turned as visions of his mother haunted his dreams. Somehow he knew that she was in trouble. Somehow he knew that he had to save her. Finally, Anakin couldn't ignore the dreams any longer. I have to go. I have to go help her, Anakin told Padme. I'll go with you, she promised. Now, this is back on the planet of Tatooine. You can see that it's very dry, it's a desert, it's really hot and sandy, there's dust storms. So, together, Senator Amidala and the Jedi Knight traveled to planet Tatooine in search of Anakin's mother. Anakin had not been to his home planet since he was a little boy. He was so different. He wondered if his planet had changed too. Sometimes things change and sometimes they stay the same. The two began their quest by finding someone Anakin knew well. Unfortunately, Watto, the junk dealer, had never been kind to Anakin as a child, but He was their best chance of finding Anakin's mom. Watto greeted Anakin with disbelief. Little Annie? Oh, you sure sprouted, huh? Ha ha ha! And a Jedi! Ha ha! What do you know? The Toydarian alien named Watto explained that his mother had moved away and married a farmer named Klieg Lars. It didn't take long for Anakin and Padme to track down Klieg on his moisture farm in the desert. They even found the droid Anakin had built as a child, C-3PO. Oh, I knew you would return! I knew it! The droid gushed. But the man named Klieg had terrible news for Anakin. His mother had been captured by Tusken Raiders over a month before. There was very little hope that she was still alive. Oh no, that's horrible. Do 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 do. So, Anakin refused to give up on his mother. He grabbed his speeder and raced through the desert, far into the Tusken Raiders' territory. Even though he knew a Jedi should be calm and patient, fear had pushed every other thought out of Anakin's mind. He had to find his mother before it was too late. Soon, Anakin discovered the Tusken Raiders' camp. He silently snuck from tent to tent until he found the one that held his mother. She had been tied up and left all alone with no one to help her. She was badly hurt, and Anakin knew she would never make it back home with him. Anakin held his mother in his arms one last time. I'm so proud of you, Annie, she said. Her message delivered, Anakin's mother let go of her pain and became one with the Force, passing away. But even though Shmi was at peace, Anakin was not. A burning rage filled him as he thought of the Tusken Raiders who had hurt his mother. Anakin drew his lightsaber and gave in to his anger. He stormed through the camp, destroying everything in his way. Later, back at the homestead, Anakin told Padme about what had happened. Hurting the Tusken Raiders hadn't made Anakin feel any better. Anakin never wanted to feel so sad and so angry ever again. He made a promise to himself and to Padme. Someday, I will be the most powerful Jedi ever, he said. I will become so powerful, I will even learn to stop people from dying. He pledged to Padme. I will become so powerful, Padme. Nothing will stop me. Anakin, Padme, Klieg, and his family gathered outside to pay their last respects to Shmi, Anakin's mother. Anakin still felt the rage returning, but this time he channeled the anger towards his goal. He would never again let anything bad happen to someone he loved. Anakin's fear and anger were leading him down a dark path, but the young Jedi had vowed to follow that path, no matter where it led. And that's going to be the end of that story. And this is a really, really important part of Anakin's hero's journey. One thing that I learned from a teacher of mine, it was actually a high school teacher, Mrs. Kathy McCoy at McDowell High School. She had a class called The Hero's Journey. And right now, young Anakin Skywalker is on a hero's journey. And the thing about a journey that every hero must take is that there are difficult things, there are challenges. We have to think he was born a slave and he did not have a very easy life growing up. He went on to become a Jedi, and Jedi training is very challenging. It's very difficult. And now he's lost his mother, and that is a very difficult thing for anyone. So, this is going to have him go on a new path on his hero's journey. All right, our next chapter is A Deadly Plot, and this story is going to feature Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. Here we go. Two ships whizzed through an asteroid field. They were piloted by Obi-Wan Kenobi and Jango Fett, the bounty hunter. Obi-Wan was chasing Jango and his cloned son, Boba, to take them back to the Jedi Council for questioning. But the dangerous bounty hunter wasn't going to go down without a fight. So Jango Fett launched a torpedo at Obi-Wan's ship. There was a giant explosion. Well, we won't be seeing him again, Jango laughed. But Obi-Wan had released a canister of spare parts for the torpedo to hit. Obi-Wan piloted his ship behind an asteroid and hid there while Jango's ship passed. Then, very sneakily, he flew after him. Jango landed on a nearby planet called Geonosis. It was a dry, desolate, arid planet, lots of rocks and mountains. Him and his son Boba climbed down from the ship and headed into a massive hall built right into the rock of the planet. Obi-Wan carefully followed the bounty hunter's trail. As he went, Obi-Wan could scarcely believe his eyes. Hundreds and hundreds of Trade Federation ships were docked on the planet, with even more up in the sky. And the towers engineered into the planet's surface looked like work factories. Excuse me. Something bad was happening here. Something very bad. Inside the factory, Obi-Wan's worst fears were confirmed. Geonosian workers were building thousands and thousands of more battle droids. The Trade Federation was creating an army to destroy the Jedi and the entire Republic. Suddenly, Obi-Wan heard voices. From his hiding spot, Obi-Wan watched as a group of separatist leaders gathered. An older man with a crooked nose addressed them all. Obi-Wan knew this man. He was once a powerful Jedi, Count Dooku. With the battle droids we have built, we shall have an army greater than anything in the galaxy, Count Dooku said. Obi-Wan needed to warn the Jedi Council. I have tracked Jango Fett to Geonosis, Obi-Wan recorded. Viceroy Gunray is behind the assassination attempts on Senator Amidala. The Separatists have pledged their droid armies to Count Dooku and are forming a... Suddenly, a battle droid attacked the Jedi and knocked him unconscious. Obi-Wan's droid, named R4, sent the partial message to the Council just in the nick of time. Uh-oh, this does not look good for Obi-Wan. Let me fix my camera. There we go. When Obi-Wan awoke, he was trapped in a stasis field, unable to move. Count Dooku was circling around him. Traitor, Obi-Wan said. Oh no, my friend, insisted Count Dooku. I am not the enemy. What if I told you that the Republic is under the influence of a Sith Lord called Darth Sidious? That is the villain we Separatists are trying to stop. You must join me, Obi-Wan, and together we will destroy the Sith. But Obi-Wan didn't believe Dooku. I will never join you. And if you remember from the last stories that we were reading, there were two Sith Lords. There was Darth Maul, who was defeated, but there's still Darth Sidious. Back on Coruscant, the Jedi Council reviewed Obi-Wan's partial message. More happening on Geonosis, I feel, than has been revealed, said Yoda. They needed to rescue Obi-Wan. Now we need that clone army to defend the Republic against the droids, another Jedi said, but the Senate will never approve it. The Senate must vote to give Chancellor Palpatine emergency powers, exclaimed another. He could approve the use of the clones. But what senator would have the courage to propose such a radical amendment? Asked Chancellor Palpatine. In the corner of the room, Jar Jar Binks took a deep breath. Senator Amidala had left him in charge as her representative. He knew what he had to do. And so basically, what all that means, all that mumbo jumbo, is that Jar Jar Binks, who is that's a really funny alien who talks like a these, he is going to suggest that this person, Senator Palpatine, becomes a chancellor. And a chancellor is kind of like a president. It's the person who's in charge of a country. But in this case, he would be in charge of the whole galaxy. He would be the chancellor of the Republic. This fellow right here, this man. The next day, Jar Jar Binks addressed the senators. In a response to the direct threat to the Republic, Misa proposed that the Senate give immediate emergency powers to the Supreme Chancellor. Thunderous cheers echoed throughout the hall. All the senators agreed. This was an emergency. Chancellor Palpatine stood. The power you give me, I will lay down when this crisis has ended. I promise you. As my first act with this new authority, I will create a grand army of the Republic to counter the increasing threats of the Separatists. The entire Senate into thunderous applause. High above, on a balcony, Jedi Masters Yoda and Mace Windu watched. It is done then, said Mace Windu. Though the Jedi had never intended to create a clone army, the Republic would use it to battle the evil Separatists and their droid soldiers. Yoda and Mace Windu just hoped they wouldn't come to regret that decision. All right. I hope that you are enjoying the stories. I think that we've probably read about 4 so far, 4 out of our 6. And so if you need to stretch your legs, if you need to pause the video, you definitely can. You can get a snack, get your favorite Star Wars action figure, your favorite Star Wars toys, get a drink, and then come back and join us. We're about halfway through our stories. Our next story is called Into the Arena. And this story is going to feature Jedi Master Obi-Wan and his Padawan, Anakin Skywalker. Jedi in training, Anakin Skywalker and Senator Padme Amidala landed on the dark, spooky planet of Geonosis. Anakin and Padme had traveled to the mysterious planet in hopes of rescuing Anakin's Jedi mentor, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan had been captured while investigating an evil separatist plot to assassinate Padme and create a battle droid army that would overthrow the Galactic Republic. It was up to Padme and Anakin to find their friend before he suffered a terrible fate. As Anakin and Padme headed down a long pathway, large, strange, winged creatures suddenly began to attack them. They looked like giant moth bugs. Lightsaber blazing, Anakin cut down the creatures as him and Padme headed for safety. However, they soon found themselves on a short walkway extended over a large maze of machinery. This was not a safe place to be. Suddenly, the door behind them closed and the walkway started to retract. Padme had no choice but to jump down onto one of the many conveyor belts that filled the droid factory and duck and dodge the dangerous machinery. Padme! The young Jedi shouted as he leapt down. Using his lightsaber, he disabled the mechanical arms that grabbed for him. These mechanical abominations were no match for a Jedi Knight in training. Despite their heroic efforts, the pair were finally captured. Padme was captured by the evil winged aliens, and Anakin by a group of destroyer droids. Suddenly, an armored figure dropped down from above, blaster in hand. "Don't move," he shouted. It was Jango Fett, the armored bounty hunter that was working for the Separatists. So there you can see Jango Fett in his shiny silver armor, and he's flanked by two droidicas, which are destroyer droids, and they're pretty scary because they can roll very, very quickly, and they do have personal ion shields that can protect them from blaster fire. So they pose quite a threat even to Jedi. Now, if you are curious about Jango Fett having that armor, that is Mandalorian armor. So if you ever see a Jedi character that has armor like that with the face plate like that, that is because they're from a planet called Mandalore, and they are warriors um, that have this really, really incredible armor that they very rarely ever take off. As Anakin and Padme awaited their fate, Anakin worried that Padme was afraid. "I'm not afraid to die," she said. "I've been dying a little bit each day since you came back into my life. I love you." "You love me?" Anakin was shocked, as Padme had always said they could never be together. "I truly, deeply love you," she replied. The young couple strained against their bonds to share a kiss just before they were carried out into a vast arena. The crowd cheered as Anakin and Padme were taken to the center of the arena and chained to posts alongside Obi-Wan. High above, the evil Count Dooku and Jango Fett looked on as a thunderous announcement rang out across the arena. "Let the executions begin," announced Geonosian. Three large gates opened, and monstrous creatures, a giant bull, a cat-like Nexu, and a clawed beast called an Acklay that looked like a praying mantis, were being herded into the arena by a spear-carrying guard. The trio of beasts began charging toward the prisoners, each choosing a specific target. "I've got a very bad feeling about this," said Anakin. Went the beasts and monsters. Obi-Wan urged calm to his Jedi apprentice, but Anakin was worried about Padme, who had been targeted by the Nexu, which was a cat-like creature. At least until he saw that she had already freed one of her hands, using a little bit of wire that she had hidden. Still trapped by the length of chain attached to one wrist, she had climbed to the top of her post, playing a game of cat and mouse as she landed swift blows of her chain on the cat-like Nexu with her restraints. As for Anakin, he used his Jedi training to evade the rhinoceros-like creature long enough to turn his chain into some straps that he could steer on the giant beast. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan used the Acklay's charging attack to his advantage, freeing himself just before the beast knocked down his post. The beast charged. Quickly grabbing one of the guard's herding spears, he faced off against the monster. "Hoi! Hoi! 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 Hoi!" went Obi-Wan. This is the creature that Anakin had to face against. It's like a big red elephant bull, and it was not happy. Padme, having managed to pull free from her chain, climbed on top of the reek monster with Anakin. Obi-Wan joined them once he had managed to disable the Acklay monster. But Count Dooku wouldn't let the three friends go away so easily. He sent destroyer droids to surround Padme and the Jedi. Unnoticed during all the uproar, Jedi Master Mace Windu had arrived on Geonosis. He confronted Count Dooku and Jango Fett by turning on his lightsaber. "This party's over," said Mace, as 100 Jedi Knights who had taken positions throughout the arena revealed themselves by igniting their lightsabers in a blaze of blue and green. Count Dooku sneered at the Jedi. "Brave, but foolish, my old friend," he said. "You're impossibly outnumbered." "I don't think so," said Mace. In an instant, thousands of droids began to pour into the arena. Frightened by the droid's sudden appearance, the remaining creatures began stampeding around the arena, trampling anyone in their path. Anakin, Padme, Obi-Wan, and Mace Windu joined the fight between Jedi and the droids, and the chaos quickly grew. "Get the droids!" Back to back with their lightsabers ablaze, Mace and Obi-Wan bravely defeated dozens and dozens of droids, but for every droid soldier that they cut down, two others seemed to appear. It began to look as though even the Force would not be enough to save them this time. Wow. This is getting pretty exciting. And if you've never seen the movies before, if you've never watched the Clone Wars TV show, this was the beginning of Clone Wars. So this was the official beginning of the Clone Wars, where the clone army is going to be fighting the droid army. So let's find out what happens next. On the desert planet of Geonosis, the Jedi Master Mace Windu shifted his lightsaber hand. He sensed his fellow Jedi falling before the massive Separatist army. The rescue mission for Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme was not going well. The Jedi Master looked up and saw Jango Fett, the bounty hunter, flying down into the battle. With a twirl of his lightsaber, Mace ran across the arena to face the powerful bounty hunter. Boba Fett was skilled, but Mace was better. The Jedi Master easily deflected Jango's blaster bolts and soon defeated the bounty hunter with a quick twist of his purple lightsaber. But his victory came too late. He fell back to join in the small circle of remaining Jedi. There were so few, and the Separatist army just kept coming. The Separatist leader, Count Dooku, spoke from a high balcony. "Mace Windu, you have fought gallantly, worthy of recognition in the archives of the Jedi Order. Now it is finished. Surrender, and your lives will be spared." But Master Windu refused. He would not allow his fellow Jedi to become hostages for the evil Separatist army, to be used against the good Republic. The battle would end there. So you can see, this is a circle of Jedi Knights with their lightsabers set ablaze, and they are completely surrounded by droids. It's pretty much hopeless. The battle's over. "Look!" Padme yelled, breaking the standoff. Everyone looked up to see a new player ready to join the fight. It was the clone army, the force that Obi-Wan had only recently discovered and that had been secretly created for the Republic's use. At its head was Master Yoda. "Around the survivors, a perimeter create!" The Jedi Master commanded his generals from a ship high upon the fray of battle. The battle continued. Mace Windu ordered the Jedi to jump onto the ships as the clone army began its attack on the Separatists. The ships flew away from the arena and over the planet Geonosis. Huge battle droids were chasing with the clone army war machines. Blaster fire rained down as massive ships fought for control of the desert. Mace realized that the battle was close to becoming a war. A clone war. Master Yoda looked over at Mace. If Dooku escapes, rally more systems to his cause. He will. Mace nodded. They had to finish the Separatist leader. It was their only chance of ending the war before it began. Count Dooku, however, was far out of reach of Mace Windu. But like his Jedi enemy, the Count was thinking about the future. The Jedi must not find our ultimate weapon, a GM leader urged. If they find out what we are planning to build, we are doomed. I will take the designs with me to Coruscant, Count Dooku said. They will be much safer there with my master. He pocketed the plans, knowing victory would be ensured if he could get them off the planet. And if you look carefully, that battle plan might look familiar to you. But Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker were determined to stop the Count in his tracks. You're going to pay for all the Jedi that you killed today, Dooku, said Anakin as he raced toward the Count with his lightsabers raised. Brave of you, boy, Count Dooku said. The foes flew across the room, battling it out. But Anakin still had much to learn, and not even the seasoned Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi could defeat Count Dooku. But there was another Jedi waiting in the wings, Master Yoda. You have interfered with our affairs for the last time, Dooku said. He sent rocks and heavy metal towers and even forced lightning at the old 900-year-old Jedi. Much to learn you still have, Yoda told him as he swatted aside each projectile. It is obvious that this contest cannot be decided by our knowledge of the Force, but perhaps by our skills with a lightsaber, Dooku replied. The Separatist leader leapt across the room toward the Jedi Master. Yoda's blade clashed again and again against the Count's. Wherever Dooku's blade was, so was Yoda's. It was impossible for Dooku to create an opening with the Jedi Grand Master. Much to still learn you have. Fought well you have, my old Padawan, Yoda said. This is just the beginning, Count Dooku told his old master. He broke away from the battle and reached his hand toward a large tower. It began to fall down, right onto Obi-Wan and Anakin. Yoda had no choice but to save his fellow Jedi. He sensed Dooku escaping as he used the Force to move the giant tower safely away from Obi-Wan and Anakin. War with the Separatists was inevitable. And if you're wondering why they're called separatists, that's kind of a fancy word for saying people that want to separate. So these are people that want to create their own confederacy, and they want to go and create their own group and their own government. So they want to separate from the Republic of the Galaxy. And it's a democratic republic. Count Dooku flew away from Geonosis and safely back to his master. The Force is with us, Master Sidious, he told the powerful Sith. Count Dooku handed him the plans for the ultimate weapon. Once it was built, there would be little hope for the Republic. With Geonosis 1, what was left of the Jedi forces regrouped on Coruscant. I have to admit, Obi-Wan told Mace Windu and Master Yoda, that without the clones, it would not have been a victory. Victory, Yoda said. Victory, you say, Master Obi-Wan. Not victory. The shroud of the dark side has fallen. Begun, the Clone War has. dum 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 dum. Dum 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 dum. Master Yoda was right to worry. Count Dooku was missing, and the Jedi forces were weak from the battle at Geonosis. Instead of leading missions of peace, the Jedi would be responsible for leading troops of warriors. As the leaders of the Senate, Chancellor Palpatine was now the head of a vast and powerful army. Yoda hoped he would use his power well and that peace would once again return to the galaxy. All right, I think that's probably going to be the end. Well, maybe not quite the end. Um, but I did want to show you one thing real quick before we do go to the final page. So this is Chancellor Palpatine, and so right now he's kind of the main leader. He's kind of like the president of the entire galaxy. He's the Chancellor, and so he's got a lot of power. Now this is the end of Episode 2, and for one brief moment, peace did last. In a secret ceremony, far away from any army, clone or droid, Anakin and Padme were married. Now more than ever, the future was uncertain, but both the Jedi and the Senator knew that together they were stronger. Together they could face anything. The end. And they had C-3PO and R2-D2 as their witnesses at their wedding. All right, so next time we will begin with the duel with Dooku. That's the beginning of Episode 3, which is one of my all-time favorite episodes. I actually saw that movie in 2005 when it first came out. I was just in 5th grade. So I really, really love that episode. I can't wait to read those stories with you guys. I wanted to say thank you to all the viewers who watched live and all of you who were able to watch it at another time as well on your schedule. I really, really appreciate all the support. And remember to join me again tomorrow and on Thursday for some more awesome Star Wars stories. And if I continue to get lots of good views and lots of good support, maybe I'll even be able to continue reading all of these Star Wars books that I have at home. That's my goal. That's my dream. And I'm hoping that it can happen. All right. Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.